So my name's Rachel Auckland. I'm approaching 60 years of age, and my life-changing moment was a few months ago when my daughter came back from visiting my mum, her nan, and I was expecting to see her later in the week, but she came straight away to visit me, and she walked in and said, "I don't know whether I should tell you this." So I said, "I think you better sit down and tell me." And what she told me was that my mum had told her during this visit that she'd had another baby before she had me. There's just me and my brother, or my half-brother, I should say, because my mum married when I was 4 years old, and so her husband adopted me, and they went on to have a child, my half-brother. So they were really just the two of us when I was growing up. He was 5 years younger than me, and and that was all I knew. I had a sort of flashback. I could remember being 12 years old, or thereabouts, and playing with a friend in the garden and saying to my friend, "I've always wished that I had a big sister." It's just a tiny little fragment of a memory, but I just remembered that. I always wished that I'd had a big sister. And suddenly, in this moment, I'm confronted with this news, and I'm realising that, in a way, I always did have a big sister, but I never met her. Straight away I asked, who is she? What's become of her? And my daughter explained that she was put up for adoption, but before she was adopted, she died. Several things went through my mind all at once. First of all, I thought, hooray, I have the big sister that I've always wanted. And then when I heard a few seconds later that she'd died as a baby, I was grief-stricken, but for somebody that I'd never met. And for several days after that, I went through a strange emotional process of trying to reconcile. I didn't know whether to think of this person as my big sister or my baby sister. I found that I was grieving for a baby that I'd lost before I was even born, that I'd never met. It was a very strange, disorientating experience. And the other thing that I experienced at that time was a massive wave of compassion for my mother. Instantly, on hearing this news, it started to make sense of a lot of things that were never said during my childhood. I felt a certain amount of judgment towards her for being guarded and secretive, and in a way I consider that a kind of dishonesty, to conceal the truth. But when you think about it, what it must have been like to have a child out of wedlock in the late 1950s, it was very much frowned upon, and there was a lot of prejudice. I just feel terribly, terribly sorry for her that she was punished for what happened to her. I suppose I wonder why she never found the moment to be able to tell me since I've been a grown-up. I think that had Mum had the courage to share that information with us, with my brother and I, when we were younger, that we could have shared that grieving process together. As a piece of information that I need to add, my name is actually Rachel Teresa Auckland, and in a subtle way my middle name has become much more important now, because it turns out that my mother's first child was named Rachel Auckland. So she gave me the same name but plus a middle name to be on the safe side. So that's how I'm distinguished from my namesake. I have a namesake. It's only a subtle shift in my identity, but it is nonetheless significant. It's a very strange thing because I thought I was the first, and it turns out I'm not. I'm a grown-up now, I choose what to do with my life. Why would this sort of little detail from my past make a difference? But it does in a way, because it somehow changes how I understand my origins. I think it might, in time, change my relationship with my brother as well. For the two of us to know that actually, in a sense, there were three of us. Just to say at this stage that I do feel moved to, at the right time, to share this story, and hope that it could in some way contribute to some greater good for the benefit of others, because I don't ever want to see anybody else go through what my mum must have had to, and I don't want ever to see other children like my brother and me be raised in a climate of secrecy and shame. It's very, very early days, but I think I'm hopeful that some good will come of it.